Hello, Case for interwebkaiju here. This is a Godzilla Cup, and this is Atlantic Rim 2. Atlantic Rim Resurrection.
The movie starts off with what I'm pretty sure are flashbacks from the first movie, and a filter is added which makes everything look much better. I'm not sure if the actors are reprising their roles or are new actors, but they're much more believable than what I remember from the first film, and much better than Asylum movie acting in general. The monsters start reappearing within the first few minutes of the new footage, so at least you won't have to wait long to see some kaiju action. In fact, the movie as a whole is much more fast-paced than its predecessor. There's a bunch of camera switches and actually some cool angles in the mix. There's some practical blood, well, green monster blood, used alongside the CG blood effects commonly seen in low-budget movies, and the addition of the practical blood makes everything much better. There's this idea about altering the robot's pilot's biochemistry so that the pain messages get stuck in a loop so that the pilot never actually feels pain, and I thought this was kind of interesting. A lot of different characters are thrown at you at the beginning, and none of them are really that interesting or memorable. Most of the effects are alright. Better than what I was expecting, to be honest, but some are still pretty bad. The CG models are okay, but when shown and posed on real-life environments, they look pretty off. The monster designs are fine, though for some reason they make me think of the crab people from South Park. The movie is watchable. I actually made it through the whole thing, unlike the first Atlantic Rim, but it's never really too intense. I'm not sure if this is because I didn't care about the well-being of the characters, or perhaps it's because the monsters never really seemed to be a threat. There's a few scenes of civilians in panic, but for the most part, it just seems like an isolated ordeal between the monsters and our main characters. When the big monster dies, a bunch of smaller monsters come out of it. These monsters seem to up the intensity, but also pull the film more to a Starship Trooper knockoff than a Pacific Rim one. Don't worry though, more giant kaiju come later on and then actually fuse together into one bigger organism. The mech design is carried over from the first film, and I still hate it. Personally, I think the filmmakers went a little overboard with the lens flares. There's this weird bit where a man with a walkie-talkie is communicating with a man using what I'm guessing are earbuds with a microphone on the wire connected to his cell phone. I mean, I'm pretty sure this could be possible, but it's still odd. Later on, there's some more questionable communication between people in different locations. Honestly, everything I've mentioned so far doesn't stop it from being a good film. There are plenty of what I'd consider good films with many of these same problems, but they all are redeemed by something, and sadly this movie isn't. After all I sat through, the main problem was that the battle scenes were neither imaginative or intense, and that includes the extremely lackluster end fight.
So that was Atlantic Rim Resurrection. It's not the worst movie. It's definitely not a good movie. I guess I can recommend it for at least one viewing. I mean, if the footage looks interesting, watch it. If it doesn't look interesting, nothing in the actual film is gonna make it interesting for you. If you have any movies, TV shows you'd like me to review, leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.
I'm ready to die. Are you?
Since the day I was born.
Whoa!